This was an article that I wrote in 2018, and this is why I said, over a year ago, I was speaking to a friend called Wayne, and we were talking about what we were working on at that stage in our life. I think he was working on a few videos, and I could have been putting a book together. It was during this time that he went a little deeper and was curious to know how I perceived myself. So when I said that I would soon be releasing the book, he wasn't happy to just give me positive feedback and then to move on. He wanted to see what was going on for me. I was surprised by this, as I was used to people giving me positive feedback when I spoke about something like this. But Wayne, on the other hand, is not someone who has a tendency to say things that a lot of other people say. After he said, "How do you see yourself?" I thought about what he said, and it became clear that I didn't have an empowering view of myself. Through being so focused on doing things, it stopped me from being aware of where I was coming from. In other words, I was so focused on what I wanted to achieve that it caused me to be unaware of why I wanted to achieve it. Ultimately, looking into how I saw myself was a way to get in touch with my self-image. With this in mind, it became clear that I had to be coming from the right place, and that it wasn't enough for me to simply do things. In this context, the quality of the work that I produced was only part of it. The other part was seeing myself as someone who produced quality work. How I saw myself would have an impact on how I presented my work, what I did with it, and even the energy that was behind it. Therefore, if this part of the equation was not right, I would only be able to get so far. Part of me would be on board, but another part of me wouldn't be going in the same direction. What I came to see was that every part of me wasn't going in the same direction. I was sabotaging myself. After being asked this question by Wayne, I could have ended up getting defensive. The trouble is that if this had indeed taken place, it would have stopped me from being able to reflect on what he asked me. As a result of this, my mind would have been closed, and it wouldn't have been possible for me to grow. I knew that he was coming from the right place, and I was open-minded, so fortunately this didn't happen. This is just one of the many powerful questions that Wayne has asked me over the years. His mind is like a guided missile. The difference is that he is not interested in destroying buildings. He is interested in destroying false beliefs and outlooks. This is just one of the many powerful conversations I've had with Wayne. He is very much a good friend of mine and a fellow brother on the path. He very much likes to, as I've said, ask questions that the average person doesn't ask. He likes to go deeper, and I will share the link if you would like to find out more about what Wayne offers, because he does all kinds of things. But I think coming back to the question here, it does show how important it is for us to ask ourselves these kinds of questions, to not only be someone who is contributing and sharing things, for example, but also to look at why. So why am I sharing this? How do I see myself? Do I believe that my work has value? Because as I've said, these different elements are all going to have an effect on how life is experienced. So there is the doing, of course, but there's also the being in the right place. And when both of these elements are in place, it is going to lead to wonderful things. Whereas when the being is not in place and only the doing is, then it can lead to a lot of frustration, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering. But on the surface, it will seem as though one is doing the right thing. Because in our society, of course, it is largely about the doing. And as long as someone is taking action and going out there and grabbing life by the horns, it's all very masculine. Then the being, the more feminine element, is largely overlooked and is not even mentioned, let alone dismissed. So This is what I would say to you if you are doing things or making a contribution in some way. Then ask yourself, how do I see myself? How do I see my work? Do I believe that my work has value? Do I believe that I have value? Am I worthy of receiving something back? And through doing that, what you contribute will be coming from a clearer place, and it will allow you to create a life that is far more fulfilling. If you'd like to find out more about the services that I offer, please go to www.oliverjrcooper.co.uk or email me at info@oliverjrcooper.co.uk, and I'm looking forward to assisting you on your journey.